Hello, folks, and welcome to your instant match reaction on this Saturday evening. I still cannot get over the fucking 8 o'clock kickoff, but sure thing, we're here with a Rangers win to discuss. I'm your host tonight, Andrew, and I've got two of my good mates here on with me. First of all, Mark, how are you, pal?
Good mate, yourself?
Not bad, always better when the Rangers are winning, eh? But also with us tonight, Kenny, how are you, man?
Better for that. That was good. Enjoyed that.
I was not saying I was dreading it, but the thought of missing I'm a Celeb to watch this rubbish was crossing my mind before we put Killie to the sword. But we'll start with our team selection. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, the main one after Dundee at Tannadice was Tavernier coming off, so you were going to have to see probably Max Aarons in at right back, which thank God it wasn't a left back. So we had Jack Butland, Jane McGoma at left back, two centre backs of Manny Fernandez and Nasser Giga, Max Aarons at right back. We had Connor Barron, Nicholas Raskin, and Mohamed Diamande in the midfield with Nadim Bayrami, JD Gassama, and Bojan Miovski. Mark, what was your thoughts when the team got announced?
Backline scared me, not going to lie. 3 out of the 4 loanees starting. I think just given how we've been in recent weeks, I did have concerns with that. Quite happy Barami in. I thought the midfield 3, I was relatively happy with that. Just who's going to be number 10, was going to be Diamande or Bayrami, and then obviously Miovski starting up top. I think given how we were midweek, I think Tav coming out, given how he played during that game, I think it was right call. Aarons themselves this season, we've had concerns, and rightly so, but I think that backline just before the game started was the one that I had major concerns with.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Max Aarons, Kenny. I think obviously, like you said, Tavernier had a bit of an illness, so you kind of expected that Aarons would have to jump into there, which means you were going to get McGoma at left back due to a lack of depth, and then no real change as he wants to stick with those two centre halves, Kenny. I mean, we talk about the shakiness in previous games, but and it's more of a hint as to what Kilmarnock showed us in the 90 minutes, but they stood firm today, I suppose. Is a tiny positive.
I suppose he did, yeah. I mean, the Kilmarnock had a lot. Their XG was higher than ours, actually, oddly, but I didn't think we were in too much bother at all at any point. I think Jack Butland's made 2 or 3 decent saves, hasn't he? But apart from that, I thought we were pretty comfortable. I do agree with Mark, though, in terms I actually kind of half expected Tavernier to come out. Didn't know he was ill or anything like that. I just thought he was really, really poor midweek, and I thought could do with a rest. So, yeah. Apart from that, with the back 4, it's self-explanatory. We all know this, don't we? It's none of us are convinced by it, so it is just exactly where we are.
Yeah, it has just been a case of copy and paste at times with the 2 centre backs at least. Mark, the midfield with Barron, Raskin, and Dio. I mean, there's been a lot of questions about specifically Raskin and Dio in the last kind of performances recently. I'm not saying I was a bit surprised with Dio coming in, but I wasn't too happy with it. I don't think he's really done anything to impress me recently. But I suppose they did their job as the 3. I think there's a good case that for myself that their partner Connor Barron was my man of the match personally. But I think the 3 of them, they operated the way they had to, and they got through the game pretty easily. I think they kind of walked the game almost.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, Barron pretty much covered every bloody grass tonight. I thought he was outstanding. His distribution was relatively good, apart from one of the back passes he made, but I thought he was outstanding. He's been probably one of our best performers this season. Raskin and Dio, I think throughout this season so far, there's been questions, and rightly so. I think it was the right call for me, just giving Barron obviously got protection. Raskin and Dio, I know prior seasons have been excellent. This season have obviously been a bit shaky, but I think just given having the 3 there, especially Kilmarnock, not obviously overloading, just gives that protection as well. And then Barami and then Gasman, you can just obviously give them the licence once they get on the ball and play. But I thought Dio in the first half in particular made a couple of good runs, got in behind, and Raskin. it's one, we're asking, because Barron's playing there as well, him and Barron can kind of clash, just given their sort of roles that they play. But for me, I think just the way the game was, I think it was the right call just to have the three in that middle. Also with Barron, as I said, was excellent. I thought he was pretty much everywhere over the park. And then Raskin was sort of filling if Barron was going, which I thought worked pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you said with Barami and Gassama, it's the case of when you get the ball, they're gonna do their job. Those wing options were pretty self-explanatory to me. I was happy to see Mikey Moore back kind of on the bench, and he obviously came on, had an impact, so fair play to the wee man. Up top, Kenny, I mean, we stuck with Bo. I know you were clamouring to see Yusuf back in starting 11. I know you're a big fan of Yusuf Chermiti. Were you okay with Bojan starting? And do you think, even though your main man didn't get on till late, that Bojan did his job today?
Shut it, mate. No, look, it is one of those things that we've struggled up front, haven't we? It's just that simple that Chermiti is that enigma at this minute in time. But I did expect that the kind of same front three as midweek. However, when I seen it and I thought, well, it's just the situation we find ourselves in, Andrew. There's just not a huge amount that we can do. We had Mikey Moore, back on the bench tonight, which was great to see, and we know the impact he had. But Teloaskar doesn't really merit a start at this minute in time. And when you stop and you consider the options we have, they're pretty limited. So, and delighted for Bojan Miovski, I've got to say. Absolutely delighted for him, because I think he's had a tough start to his career here. We all know he's a goal scorer, and hopefully what's happened tonight can really help the boy kick on, because we need a number 9 to score plenty of goals from now towards the end of the season. And sadly, I don't think Big Chermiti is the answer there. So I don't think he's going to score a lot of goals at all. So you are looking at Miovski's the solution at this minute in time till we get to January and see what the club's going to do.
Yes, I'm not going to throw Kenny under the bus. I was only joking when I said that Kenny loves Chermiti. He doesn't. It's not that he doesn't. I think we all want him to be a success, although he isn't, and we're not going to hide that. As we move into the game, I mean, some key points we were talking about, I think there was the early kind of Gassama shot, Mark, which was kind of another one of these. It was becoming a bit of the trademark, cut back inside and have a crack on his left when he's over that side, and if it's on the left wing where I would suggest he's more comfortable, it's cutting back onto his right. We've seen that kind of cut and shoot tactic for the best part of 2 seasons now with gone but not forgotten Cyril Dessers, but it's becoming a bit copy and paste. He always suggests when he gets to that byline, he's always going to cut back in. He always takes that shot. He's not far off, JD, but I wasn't surprised to see him go down that route, and he's somewhat becoming a bit predictable with it. Is it just me being harsh, or is your kind of opinion on Gassama, his chances are maybe becoming a wee bit more limited to those kind of chances than that kind of narrow angle cutbacks?
Well, in prior seasons, I think, if we think of last season in particular, Cherny got quite a bit of success out of that, but I'm not comparing Gassama to Cherny in any way. But I think with that chance you're referring to, he's just leaning back. For me, he's got to hit the target there, given how far he's out. Or at least test the goalie, first and foremost. But he's just leaning back and he's got it all wrong. He's done actually quite good work in the build-up to it. I think he's better coming in from the left, coming on at his right foot. I think he's more productive, or he can go down the line and then put the ball across. But I think you're right. Just now, he is quite predictable in his play. He was a bit better in the second half, but the first half, other than that chance, he was, we weren't getting much out of him in that first half in particular. I don't know if he's maybe one just to come out the firing line, just given how he's playing now. But I think with Danny Rue, I'm quite surprised, just given he's worked with him before, and at his time at Sheffield Wednesday, they're saying that he did actually play on the right, but I think he's actually better on the left, coming in and playing with strikers. Earlier in the season, in particular in Europe, in the qualifiers, the many times he's linking up with the strikers, and getting chances, obviously scoring goals. Whereas now I think he's on the right, and if he's coming on his left, then I think it just, given it's his weaker foot, just restricts him a little bit.
Yeah, Kenny, with JD, I mean, we've seen the flashes of how good he can be, how elusive he can be with the dribble, and he can find the net when he cuts in and has that shot on his stronger right foot. But it's just not been as consistent as we'd like to see it. Do you think that switching wings every now and again is really kind of thrown him off from hitting that purple patch that we really want him to see? We want to see from him. Sorry, I think personally I'm leaning towards that being the cause of this kind of on and off with his form. But is that maybe just me trying to get back into the good books after throwing him under the bus there?
No, I don't think you've been unfair. I think you're both right. I think he's definitely better on the left. I think he's more productive on the left. He gets numbers on the left. He's struggling to get numbers on the right-hand side. I think, again, not to sit and hark on about this, but it's just the nature of where we are at the minute. Our right-hand side is an issue. So that's why he's there. We've got more options available to us, or we did until Bayrami went off injured today on the left-hand side. So it is one of those situations where up until now you've had, a number of players that are capable of playing the left. So, and really only Ant-Man on the right-hand side who just hasn't performed the way we would hope he would. So it's a difficult one for me because I think we often need to remember that the kid's, what is he, 21, 22? I don't think he's much older than that. He is a young boy and he is playing every single game, and he's played most games since the start of the season. Coming to a new club, but we've been struggling form-wise, that's for certain. And the pressure goes on your front players, and you're trying to make sure that we are scoring goals, obviously, while the whole team is struggling. And I think he's just been unfortunate in that sense that because he can play in both wings, it's really difficult for him to turn around and say, pinpoint the left-hand side, because we've got that issue on the right-hand side. I don't think there's anything other than that. And I do agree with the Perry. He's miles better on the left-hand side for me. I don't think he's... Where Mark got it spot on is that he's really quite predictable on the right-hand side. He really always wants to just cut in, whereas when he's on the left-hand side, you can see that he can go either way. We can get the byline and cut it back, or he can come inside and take a strike. He's not quite as capable of that on the right-hand side, but that's because it's his weaker side. I didn't think he was great tonight, to be honest with you, but I didn't think it was bad either. I thought he worked his backside off, and I've not been convinced that he's been working his backside off at times, is kind of where I'm at with it, but no complaints about him tonight, I've got to say.
Later into the kind of, it was quite actually close after that one. We had a heart and mouth moment, which would have been quickly relinquished by the fact there was a flag up for it, which I could not believe the amount of nonsense about how poor the decision was, and the fact that we'd somehow got away with one when we cleared the ball off the line. I thought the commentary was really poor. This was with our cleared off the line attempt by Connor Barron after Anderson poked the ball by Butland. In reality, Mark, I mean, it's an awful offside call, as he's so far in his own half. It's unbelievable. But Connor did what Connor had to do, which is get back, clear the ball. We did our job. There can't be anything said about refereeing in our case. It was a poor call, but it's not like they had a goal chopped off for it. It wasn't going in anyway. We did our job. I was just more miffed at the fact that the commentary was just so poor, in my opinion.
I'm not so worried about that. I think the concerning part with me is just the space that the Kilmarnock player had to run into. And that wasn't, to be fair, both Kilmarnock chances in the first half was one ball. And how many times have we seen it this season where one ball through the middle, one ball over the top, just causes us a lot of problems. The space that they had to run through. In all fairness to Barron, prior to that, Butland's obviously came out, tried to make himself big, and he's obviously went down. boys dinked it over him, and Barron's obviously got to sell back and obviously cleared it. But I think the worrying part for me is just that one ball. It's just how many times do we see it coming through our defence and causing us problems. That's throughout the season we caused ourselves so many problems with that, and in the first half in particular, that was where Kilmarnock really got both their chances. Just that one ball giving us so much problems, and that's one thing that we just need to tighten up. If we're going to have any success at all.
Yeah, Kenny. I mean, we'll talk about the other chance that Anderson had later in the half, where it's just that long ball again. The two centre halves are kind of, I don't know if they're leaning on the other partner to clear it and take ownership of it. In this case, neither of them really get to it, or even close to it. Anderson gets it on the swivel and he puts it wide. My hope is that if he does get it on target, that Giga's in the way. But I think this is what we're going to see until we have more reinforcements in that area. Is that you're just going to have to be aware that you're probably going to get one of these per game. You're going to get one of these heart and mouth moments. We've seen it in every game so far, whether it's Fernandes and Giga together. But it's that one ball, and until they can start to just take ownership, have a bit more, be more vocal to each other and say it's mine or it's yours. Even Jack, if Jack wants to shout at them and tell them you need to be more on it, or in some cases to leave it and he'll take it, you're going to just continue to see this.
Well, Kilmarnock created quite a lot of chances tonight, I thought. Nothing really over the top, but I think they had 14, 15 shots at goal. It tells you that they were getting in about us. The only thing I'd say in defence of that back four tonight is that we've watched this all season. Doesn't matter who's playing in any of those four positions, mate. We are not good defensively. We are easy to play against and easy to play through. And it's not always entirely down to the defence. The midfield's got to take responsibility. The strikers have got to defend from the front. All these guys at times are just not quite doing what they're supposed to do, which is track runners, keep with your man, keep goal side. All these really simple, basic things at times that Rangers have really struggled to do this season. So I'm not going to overly criticise the two centre halves tonight. I didn't think they were brilliant. I didn't think they were bad. I thought they just coped with what was put in front of them. I thought the full-backs were okay. I thought Butland had a decent enough game without being... he did what he was supposed to do. It was just one of those things, mate. That's to me, it's a kind of simple thing. We have now played, 29 games or something like that, and there's been very few of them where teams haven't been able to get at our back four. So... no complaints, because the bottom line tonight is we've won 3-0, we've kept a clean sheet, and they've come off the pitch having done their job for me. So despite the limitations in some of these guys, they've done all right tonight. So I'm not going to sit here and overly concern myself with a team creating too many chances, because I thought we were pretty comfortable during and most of the game. I thought it's a wee period in the second half where I thought that they were getting on top of us a little bit, but we coped with that, and it only lasted 5-10 minutes or so, and I thought we just came right back into the game.
Talking about just doing what you're supposed to do, Bojan Miovski, our striker, who at Aberdeen was, I think, fair to say, prolific in our league, found the net, and he found the net again. This is a real positive for me, Mark. I'm absolutely buzzing for him. Two kind of strikers finishes. I mean, the first one, the toe poke. I mean, the fact that Chris Boyd is giving it all the praise in the world at half time shows you what kind of finish that is. Boyd being a penalty box striker and finding those finishes. That's good. That's high praise for our league, and I like Boyd and myself, so fair praise. He takes that goal really well, in my opinion, shooting it through the crowd. A bit of stumbling over each other with Diamandi before leaving it off to him, but a nice finish in there. Just put your foot through it. A solid old school football toe poke. Kind of doesn't give the keeper a chance. And at that point in time, 33 on the clock, it was nice to see us go ahead. And it couldn't have happened to one of the better players in the park for it to happen to, with a striker trying to find a bit of form.
Yeah, there's a little bit of scrap in the build-up, but in all fairness to Miovski, it was a striker's finish, just that instinct, wasn't it? It's come to him, get out his feet, and he's put in the net and he's got through a bunch of bodies on the way as well. And I think that's kind of related to earlier in terms of, I think he just needs that, like these goals tonight, just a bit of confidence, and hopefully he can just kick on. Because, he, in all fairness to him as well, I think he has been a bit nullified. He's not really had a lot of chances throughout. That was good to see him tonight, just getting out his feet and he's put it in the corner. It's a great finish, to be fair. He's been through a few bodies as well. And the goalie's obviously got no chance. But obviously in the build-up to it, it was a little bit scrappy. But for him, just get out and he's finished it really, really well. And I said, hopefully for there, he can just kick on, given he's, I think he'd only scored one prior to that tonight. He's also got two. It's just a matter of just a bit of confidence, and he just needs to kick on, given I think he should probably be leading the line moving forward, given the other options we've got at the club.
Yeah, and also again with his second goal, Kenny, that was actually another bit of nice build-up for that one. Kind of taking the ball on the run, Nico powers that kind of middle to kind of edge of box area, just get it out of his stride. Good firm pass to Bojan, good first touch to get it on his left. They gave the keeper the eyes. That's another perfect striker's finish. The point that I was happy with is there was no thought to square it to Gassama. It was, I want the ball, I'm going to have the shot. There was no second thoughts. It was just out the feet, bang, goal. Perfect for the striker.
Yeah, the whole move was actually nice. It was a good sweeping move. It was really incisive, cracking pass for Nico Raskin, and those goals are always nice when you're on-footer keeper and you make him look a little bit stupid, don't you? Because it's just one of them that he's away one way and you just stroke it in the corner. Good strikers are capable of that, and that it kind of shows you that what he is capable of. And we just haven't created enough chances for him, I think, over the piece. And I do think if you can get Miovski into the right positions, he will score goals for us. So I'm not too concerned about how would I put that? His lack of form so far. I think it coincides with just the way Rangers are playing. So I think a confident, free-flowing, goal-scoring Rangers, you'll see him score plenty for us, put it that way. But delighted for him tonight, because it's really important, as I've already said, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but it is really important that guys that are coming in and going to play that position get their chances and take them. All we need to look at is the other night with Chermiti. He's got an open goal in front of him. He's 6 yards out. He's got a header. Just keep your eye on the ball. And it's an effective tap in. He didn't take it. He's closed his eyes or whatever he's done. The balls went right past his head. So good that one of them is actually starting to take some chances. That's where I'm at with it. But the more important thing for me was actually in the second goal was the way the team actually played. It's a lovely team goal as well for me, and it's just a lovely wee finish.
We then did what we usually don't do, Mark, and we scored a third. Mikey Moore, I'm so happy to see him back. It's just 2 goals in 2 games if you forget the injury in between them. He took that finish really well. It's a good, firm strike. Didn't really give the keeper a chance. Down low. I'm buzzing for the lad again. I've said this a few times. I'm buzzing for Miovski. I'm buzzing for Mikey. It needs to be looked at how it's a talent, I think, that Russell Martin has, how you can make a winger that good, or even a number 10, even if you want to say Moore can play there. A player like Mikey Moore look that bad at the start of the season, that takes some sort of really bad talent, because the boy, since Danny Rose came in, has looked like a completely changed player.
Yeah, he's more effective, I think, in the middle of the park than he is wide. I think for me, his goal itself, like the turn, he's created that space, he's ran in, and his finish is absolutely first class. He is a player, Tottenham obviously rate him highly prior to Danny Rose coming in. There was a lot of questions asked on him. But I think unfairly, I think it was just the way we were playing and where he was actually playing on the pitch. I think since Danny Rose came in, sort of not so much flowing, but he's kind of in between, isn't he? And you can just see the space and the pockets of space he's getting into. He's very effective. And that goal itself, just that turning and he's away, creates that space for himself. And his finish is absolutely outstanding. I think he's been missed the last few weeks since he's been out. So it's good that he's now back in. I was a little bit nervous just given the pitch. in the history of players getting injured on that and him just coming in. But in all fairness, he came on and he's effectively impacted the game. Not only with the third, but also we'll come to the fourth later. But I think it was just an outstanding goal all round, given his initial turning, and he's just drove away from there.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny, this is it's a spin in the kind of area that, I mean, we'd hope that a Taylor Asgard can do that kind of spin and pivot in those spaces and make the killer either kill a pass off to somebody or take the strike himself. Moore's got that confidence. He just does. You can see it in the way he drives with the ball. Earlier in the games, we've seen him before he was injured, and again that goal tonight. He just has a kind of head up, just confidence to drive the ball, and in the finish as well, as we've said. It's just superb.
I'm not going to be rude, but I think comparing Taylor Asgard and Mikey Moore and comparing the two is just ridiculous. I'm not saying you, I think it's just a ridiculous comparison. There's one that's going to go at the very top of the game and another one that's going to struggle at Rangers. So there's levels to this game, I'm afraid, and Mikey Moore is, and you'll see the best of him 4, 5, 6 years down the line. That's how young he is. You'll start to see how we can see it already at the level, the Premier League level, that he's capable. But he's a Premier League player down there, and you're right in terms of the ability to know that turn is on for him. There's very few players in that position that actually know that I've got all the time in the world. If I can spin him here, if I can get him tight and spin, I've got all the time in the world to pick and choose where I'm going to go. And he just drives at the next defender, cuts inside him and strokes it away. It's an absolute peach of a finish. And my only disappointment in all that, when Mikey Moore came on, was Finlay Curtis going back off. I don't like seeing that for a player. I don't like it at all. I'm sure the manager or the head coach has got his reasons for it, but Finlay Curtis was raging. I don't know if you noticed that, guys. The kid was livid, and rightly so, because it's not a nice thing to do to a young boy. But yeah, on Mikey Moore, he's got the world at his feet, the kid, and let's hope that over the next 5 months, 6 months now, that we see the very best of him, because he could do a real job for us if he's going to keep this kind of form up. Because as Mark had said earlier, we've missed him over the last few games since he's been injured, because he was just coming right onto a game, and he seems to have picked up right where he left off. So delighted for him, actually, because that's the pick of the bunch for me tonight. That was an absolute cracker.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've hinted, obviously, Finlay Curtis coming off after coming on for the injury to Nadeem Bayrami in the first half. It's a strange one. I think, as you said, I think the manager will have his reasoning. I think, obviously, from not having a lot of minutes, playing essentially what would have been a 90-minute game if he stayed on, because he did. I mean, it was the majority of the first half. He came, I think, 20 minutes in. He would have played a lot of minutes. I think they were trying to manage his minutes. I think there's definitely a player there. I don't think it's. I've seen mentioned I'll probably ruin him. I don't think that. I think that's a bit harsh. I think he's probably going to have a conversation with the manager, and then they'll kind of brush by it. I know he was upset. He'll want to be a success, Mark. I mean, he's one of us. A really good start to the season under Russell Martin, ironically. But I think the best for him is yet to come. I don't think I'd be reading into it too much. He'll be angry, upset, but use that to bounce back. He's made the sub. The manager's made the sub, and we've scored from it. So he's absolved himself of it. It's just whatever happens next with Finlay. But I'm not too worried about it, mate.
I think Finlay needs to have a conversation, though, given the amount of time he was on the actual pitch. And I didn't think he'd done much wrong, in all fairness. He was also sitting on the left. I prefer him again on the right, and that's what we're talking about, that Gassama. Even if I think the starting 11, I probably would have had Curtis on the right and Gassama on the left. If you're then talking about Dio and put Bayrami in there in terms of other options. But I think when he came on, I don't think he'd done much wrong. I can understand his disappointment given his lack of action. I know he's had a slight injury, etc., during the international break, but he's been chomping at the bit. In terms of the fans, we obviously want him. He's one of us. I think the disappointing thing for him, though, is just getting on the pitch for 40 minutes or so, and then he's off again. You know, and not embarrassed, but you have that, you're coming on and then you're coming back off. You be thinking to yourself, what am I doing wrong here? And I think, in fairness, I don't think he done much wrong tonight. But I think he just needs to have a conversation with the manager in terms of managing that expectation moving forward, and what does he need to do to get in that starting 11 week in and week out. Because for me, as you said earlier in the season, he started very strong. He scored a few goals. He's had a bit of an impact even during that time when we were struggling. He actually was one that was actually helping us throughout. And then he's also had that period where he's been out of the team. Again, part of that's due to injury. But since Danny Rose came in, he's not really had a sniff. Came on against Falkirk, etc. But for me, I think he just needs to ask that question on what do I need to do to be in this Rangers side? Because clearly, Danny Rose has seen something that we're not in. As I said, for him to be taken off tonight after being brought on is not great.
Yeah, I think that we'll probably hear. I mean, I've not listened to. I don't know if there has been anything brought up from Rangers, from the manager after the game. I didn't listen to anything post game with Sky, so I would have guessed, or I will guess, that we'll probably hear a wee bit more on that decision. As is, if we're talking about it, they'll probably be talking about it as well. Another incident they probably will talk about on Sky. Again, I didn't listen to any of the post game punditry. The Jack Butland clearance attempt to Kenny. I mean, it was one. When I seen it at first, I was thinking back to Alan McGregor on Lewis Ferguson at Pittodrie, where McGregor got retroactively, I think, a 3-game ban or something like that. It looked bad at full speed, but then you slow it down. I mean, there's good contact on Anderson, but the ball has come off Butland beforehand. It looked kind of, the camera angles went brilliant for it, but to me, it looks like Anderson's kicked it off of Butland before Butland's made any contact with Anderson. But an old school, great physical challenge, Kenny. I mean, it's a real good one. He's laid on him there.
I don't think it's a red card at all. Actually, I think he's won the ball, and yeah, he has went right through the player. But listen, it's a 50-50. It's one of these things that the game's gone soft at times, isn't it? With this stuff, let's go and check it in VAR, and all any team now has to do is roll about in agony and wave about, and they're going to get VAR to look at it. And that's the issue I have with VAR. I thought VAR was awful tonight. I'll tell you, I thought for both sides. I actually think, and I know you might come to it, but the goal that we got ruled out, I think it's a goal. I think it should stand. I think Mo Diamandi is given a penalty away. I think it's a clear penalty, and they didn't bother with that. And you could tell their manager got himself sent off because of the frustrations. And I don't think it was the frustrations of the way the game was going. It was the way that it was getting refereed. Clancy was awful. The VAR was awful. And it's for both sides. I'm openly suggesting that I personally think that Mo Diamandi gives a penalty away. And it's only 2-0 at a time, and it changes the game if they score that. And we've got away with one there. And they're just awful. And but the Butland one for me is he's won the ball first. He's got to the ball first. It's clearly Jack Butland that plays it. He clearly goes straight through. But is it Anderson? And that's just the nature of football. It happens up and down the country every Saturday, in every park in the land. It's just a nonsense to turn around and start looking at every single incident like this, because to me, that's just a clear 50-50. Two guys going for the ball. Even if he does connect with him, to me, a lot of the time, it doesn't mean it's a red card. It's just a 50-50. Contact's inevitable.
That was, if you tuned in, that was your Kenny's wee kind of punditry moment of how the game is so far gone from what he recognises as the game. That was your game's gone moment of the evening. I mean, Mark, I think the Dio one, I'm going to lean on the fact that maybe the contact's outside of the box, going into the box, but even then you're getting into that territory where we've seen one of those, is it more outside than in, to use the quotations. VAR, as a whole, even with the, as we said, the offside on the Bruce Anderson attempt to goal, from the officials on the park to the officials in the VAR operation, it was a pretty tough night, and it was a brutal watch, to be honest. But this is nothing new. How many times have we seen this, Mark? It's so many points and in games where you go, they've did that wrong, he's did that, he's missed that, you know, the operation's becoming more of a joke than it is any use to us in the game.
I think the deal one for me, the initial contact's outside the box, but the problem you've got, and you've seen it so many times, is because the player's carrying on into the box and Dio's still got a hold of him. It's that distinct of, is it from the initial contact or is it where the player ends up? And that's, you know, it's such a grey area. For me, I would be thinking it's a free kick, but because what we've seen in so many times, players then carrying on into the box, you can understand why penalties are given as well. But I would class it as a free kick, just given where the initial contact's made. In terms of standard officiating in this country, you know, it's getting worse year on year. And I think it's a big part is the investment side, you know, and it's one thing, if we want our product to be the best, it's one area that we need to invest in. And sadly, what we are seeing week in and week out, tonight's another example of just poor officiating, not only on the park, but in the VAR room. But how many times have we seen this? And I think as we go year on year, it continues to get worse. You know, you're seeing these referees stepping up from the lower leagues coming into the SPL, and the standard is just absolutely appalling. And for me, I think the only way to fix that would be investing more, or, you know, what some of the other leagues do in terms of overseas officiating. But again, that's going to cost money, which, you know, the SFA are just not going to invest in.
For me, what they've got to do here, we're going to have to start looking at full-time referees. We're going to have to bin this tin pot version of VAR. It doesn't work. It's not working properly. We're going to have to get the semi-automated stuff. And I know it all costs money, but find the money. If we had decent people running the game, the SPFL, they'd go and find sponsors and TV deals worth a lot more money than we receive now. Look at the amount of games we've got on the telly. We're now on at 8 o'clock on the Saturday night, for Christ's sake, and we've got this poxy version of VAR for everybody in England to watch on Sky. And they'll be looking at that, giving it, what the hell is going on up there? They will. And it's true. I don't want to sit and have a dig for the sake of it, but the game is the refereeing's got a whole lot worse since Willie Collum took over. VAR, this version of VAR that we're using is getting exposed on a weekly basis for being adequate and not fit for purpose. I don't know where we go with this until we actually start looking at it properly and professionally, because it just looks half-assed and as if we're kidding on about it. Do you know what I mean by that? We're just kind of, yeah, we've got VAR, but it's not fit for purpose. That's all I'm going to say. And I know it's a wee rant, but watching a game like that tonight, where you can look, you've both said it already, that we had a chance that they had a chance that Conor Barn cleared off the line, and that side, that near side linesman has ruled that offside, mate, when he's about 5 yards onside and in his own half. And you're like, he's in his own freaking half. I mean, how can it's mad what's going on in this country with the referees. Really mad.
I mean, I love a Kenny rant. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a big rant, if it's a small rant. I love a rant. But just to move before we move on, just a big thank you, HMS 1872. That's very, very much appreciated, pal. Thank you very much for that. I think we'll be using some of this to give Kenny some more water bottles to cool down from his ranting. But thank you very much, mate. It's much appreciated. I've been sidetracked, two-footed by Kenny's classic SFA shite rant. He goes with the VAR light. It's almost as if you're unaware that we're now sponsoring Hampden with the Barclays, Kenny. Come on, we're all about the cash up here. Before we wrap up, I mean, a positive. I mean, it's a good result for the Gers. Gets us kind of back into where we want to be after the midweek result. I mean, a game tomorrow decides points above us in the table. I mean, we did our job tonight. Onwards and upwards for us. Can I push you both for a man of the match? I'll start with Mark. Who would you have given it to?
Yeah, Conor Barron for me. I thought he was exceptional. I think just his work rate and, as I mentioned earlier, pretty much covered every blade of grass. I thought he's been exceptional for a number of weeks now, but tonight I thought he bossed it. He was everywhere, and I thought he played a pivotal part, especially at times when we were a little bit vulnerable. I think he gave us that cover in there, a bit of press in. I thought he was excellent throughout.
I agree with Mark. Conor Barron would have been my man of the match. I don't actually know if Sky gave a man of the match to anybody. I know they kind of panned to Miovski in the stands, but I didn't spot one if they gave one. Kenny, are you going to make it a 3 for Barron? Are you going to go somewhere else?
I totally agree with you up to a point, but I'm just going to give it to Miovski for the 2 goals. I think he's taken them both really well, and Conor Barron did Conor Barron tonight. I thought it's exactly what he does, where I'm going to give it to Miovski because we haven't seen too much of it. That's all.
That's fair. That is fair. A good double for Bo. Chuffed for him. Chuffed for all the lads. A win for us. Away at Rugby Park, as kind of pointed out in the comments, a pretty tough place for us to go previously. Next for the Gers, French Barros, which I heard on the telly. I completely forgot Robbie Keane's the manager over there. So that up next in our travels in the Europa League. Much more joy to be had in Europe, but we're going to finish up tonight. Thank you for joining us for this post-game. It's over 2,000 people live, which is brilliant for 7 minutes to 11 on a Saturday night. Thank you very much for joining us. Just again, thank you, Mark, for joining us this evening.
No, pleasure, mate. Good to get 3 points and clean sheets, so happy Saturday night.
And as pointed out, the 4 lads, Godfather, Kenny, thank you for joining me, buddy. I know I gave you a heart attack beforehand.
You did? You wee shit. Listen, it's lovely to come on a podcast and talk about a win. We've had few and far between this season, so and the fact that Stevie and the other Andrew I know here makes me feel great because they'll be cussing. In fact, Stevie said something, didn't he? The 2 away games he's missed all season are the 2 3-0 wins, didn't he? So we've all told him not to go back to away games. But thanks for having me on, Andrew. And cheers, Matt. Thoroughly enjoyed that, actually. Nice wee chat. Nice wee rant at the end about the officiating. But hey, we've got to keep highlighting it, guys, haven't we? It's just pathetic. I mean, it is. It's pathetic. And it's not just for Rangers. It's not an anti-Rangers thing here. It's not a bias thing. They are just shit at their jobs.
There you go, folks. A wee last burst there from Kenny, which is, it always gets a smile on my face. But again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back with more content on the channel, and then obviously with next week's Europa League game. Thank you for joining me this evening, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.